Landman. Season 3. Episode 1. And if the title of this video didn't already stop your scroll, let me say it plainly. Cami Miller may be about to pull a trigger on Tommy Norris, and after everything that happened in that Season 2 finale, I don't think a single person watching this show would be shocked if she did. Something has shifted in West Texas, and it's not just the oil beneath the ground. It's the loyalty, the trust, and the fragile piece that used to hold this family and this company together. That piece is gone. And what's coming in Season 3 feels less like a business drama, and more like a slow-burning fuse heading straight toward an explosion nobody can stop. Let's rewind for 1 second because you need to understand exactly how we got here. When Landman closed out Season 2 with the episode Tragedy and Flies, it didn't just end a chapter. It tore the entire world of M-Tex oil apart at the seams. Cami Miller, played by Demi Moore, made a decision that changed everything. She fired Tommy Norris. The man who built M-Tex back up from nothing, the man who bled for that company, was suddenly standing outside looking in. All because Cami wanted to commit to a $400 million offshore drilling gamble that Tommy warned her was reckless. He had already gone bankrupt once in his life. He knew exactly what a 10% chance of success actually costs a family, and he told her so. She didn't listen. And just like that, the man who had been the beating heart of this company for 2 full seasons was gone. Now here's where it gets interesting and honestly a little terrifying if you think about it from Cami's side of the table. Tommy wasn't broken by getting fired. He was liberated. Instead of taking the safe, comfortable landing at Chevron that was practically handed to him on a silver platter, Tommy turned it down cold. He went a completely different direction. He reached out to Galeno, the former cartel boss played by Andy Garcia. A man who does not make deals out of kindness. A man who expects results or consequences. And Tommy convinced him to bankroll something brand new. Something Tommy would actually own. That's how CTT Oil Exploration and Cattle was born. Right there in the finale with Tommy, his son Cooper, and longtime ally TL standing together as founders of their own company for the very first time. No boss. No board. No Cami. Just them. But while Tommy was busy building his empire from scratch, his son Cooper was fighting for his freedom in a police interrogation room. And this is where the emotional stakes of this show hit hardest. Cooper beat a man half to death defending Ariana, the woman he loves, after that man attacked her. For most of the finale, it looked like Cooper was going to pay for that with a murder charge that could destroy his entire future before it even started. Rebecca stormed into that station threatening lawsuits. Tommy showed up and threatened careers. And in the end, the truth came out. The man didn't die from Cooper's hands, he died of a heart attack on the way to the hospital. Cooper walked free. But please don't mistake that for a clean ending, because nothing about this show ever stays clean for long. A man is still dead because of what happened that night, and the people who had influence over that county, the people connected to that man, do not strike me as the type to simply let it go. If you think Cooper is truly in the clear heading into Season 3, I think you're about to be proven very wrong. And then there's Cami. Left standing alone in the ashes of a company her late husband Monty built, discovering that Monty never even trusted her enough to keep digital records, only paper ones designed to disappear the moment there was any real trouble. She offered Tommy's old job to Nathan, the company lawyer, the one person left she thought she could count on. He turned her down flat, and instead told her the truth nobody wanted to say out loud. Monty never intended for M-Tex to survive without him. He built it to be sold. Think about how that must feel. Your husband is gone. Your closest ally just resigned from your side. The man you fired is now building a competing company with the same expertise, the same connections, and now the same hunger to prove you made a mistake. Cami isn't just losing a company in Season 3. She's losing control of her own story, and desperate people do desperate things when they feel the walls closing in. So where does that leave us walking into Episode 1? I believe the premiere is not going to waste a single second easing us into this new world. It's going to throw us straight into the deep end, because that's exactly what this show has trained us to expect. Picture this. Tommy standing in front of his new team, officially launching CTT Oil Exploration and Cattle, spreading the word across every contact he's built over years in this brutal industry. On the surface, everything is going to look optimistic. New opportunities knocking. New deals on the table. Cooper stepping into a role he never asked for but has to grow into fast, because his father just handed him something enormous, a real seat at the table, real responsibility, and honestly real danger. For 2 seasons we watched Cooper stumble, make mistakes, and fight to be taken seriously by people who doubted him at every turn. Now he doesn't get to stumble anymore. Now he has to lead. And underneath all that optimism in episode 1, I have a strong feeling the cracks are going to start showing almost immediately, because a company built this fast, funded by a man like Galino, backed by nothing but ambition and a handshake, doesn't come without a price attached. Let's talk about Cami, because out of every character heading into season 3, she might be the most unpredictable. And that unpredictability is exactly why this title hits so hard. A woman who has spent 2 seasons being underestimated, dismissed as the grieving widow just keeping her husband's legacy warm, is now completely alone. No Tommy. No Nathan. Nobody left standing beside her who actually understands how to run this company. She's staring down the barrel of losing everything her husband built. And the man who left her, the man who took his knowledge and his team and started competing against her directly, is Tommy Norris. I don't think Cami quietly accepts defeat here. I think episode 1 shows us the first spark of what's about to become a full-blown war. And there are really only 2 paths in front of her. She either swallows her pride and reaches out to Tommy for help unloading a company she can no longer control, or she digs in, refuses to lose, and decides that if she's going down, she's taking Tommy down with her. Knowing this show, knowing how Taylor Sheridan writes his most dangerous characters, I would not bet against the second option. Now here's something else worth putting on the table, and it's not speculation, it's confirmed. Season 3 was officially greenlit by Paramount Plus back in December of 2025. Arriving less than 3 weeks after Season 2 even premiered, which tells you everything about how much confidence the network has in this story. Season 2 didn't just perform well, it shattered records, pulling in over 9.2 million global streams in its opening days alone, making it the most watched original series premiere in the platform's history. That's not a hit show. That's a phenomenon. And the people behind it know exactly what they're sitting on. Co-creator Christian Wallace has said outright that after 2 full seasons, they feel like they've barely scratched the surface of this world. West Texas, oil money, family blood, and betrayal all tangled together. There is a lot of runway left, and season 3 is where they start using it. But here's the part that's going to test your patience if you're desperate for new episodes right now, because the timeline has shifted and shifted more than once. For a while, fans were holding on to hope for a November 2026 premiere. Following the exact same pattern season 2 followed after season 1. That is no longer realistic. Filming was originally expected to begin in the spring, then pushed to the end of August, and now, according to the most recent reports, production isn't set to start until September 2026, running all the way into the first quarter of 2027. That means a 2026 release is officially off the table. Paramount Plus has not confirmed an exact premiere window yet, but based on how this production schedule is unfolding, we are almost certainly looking at sometime in 2027 before season 3 actually lands. Taylor Sheridan himself is writing this season, and reports point to another 10-episode run, with director Stephen Kay expected back behind the camera to keep that same intense, grounded style that made the first 2 seasons feel so real. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, especially after everything we just watched go down in that finale. You want answers now, not in 2027. But honestly, take that delay as a good sign, not a bad one. Taylor Sheridan is not the kind of writer who rushes a script just to hit a release calendar. He's the kind of writer who lets a story breathe until it's ready to hit as hard as it possibly can. And given where these characters are standing right now, this story needs that time. Because think about everything that's actually at stake heading into this new season. Tommy isn't just building an oil company anymore. He's building a legacy for his son, gambling everything on the belief that Cooper is finally ready to carry that weight. Cooper isn't just stepping into a job, he's stepping into a target, because the same people who tried to pin a murder charge on him did not simply forget he exists the moment those charges got dropped. And Cami isn't just running a company anymore. She's fighting to prove she was never the woman everyone assumed she was, the quiet widow keeping the seat warm. She's fighting for her name. And that brings us back to where this whole video started. Cami Miller, Tommy Norris, and a title that I promise you was not written to get a cheap click. Think about what this woman has lost in such a short amount of time. Her husband, her company's foundation, her closest ally in Nathan, And now the one man who actually knew how to keep M-Tex standing gone and worse working against her. People don't break like that quietly. They break loud. And if Season 3 is building toward a moment where Cami finally reaches her breaking point, where every ounce of control she's had ripped away from her over 2 seasons finally boils over, I don't think it's unreasonable to imagine her standing across from Tommy with a gun in her hand and absolutely nothing left to lose. Whether that's a literal physical confrontation or something more symbolic, Cami destroying everything Tommy built the same way he walked away and destroyed what she had left, either way I believe this is heading somewhere violent, somewhere personal, and somewhere that's going to leave this fanbase in complete shock the moment it airs. What makes this even more gut-wrenching is that Tommy and Cami were never really enemies to begin with. He respected her. He worked for her. In a strange, complicated way, he cared about what happened to her and to Monty's legacy. That's what makes this potential collision so devastating to think about. This isn't some random rival stepping in to cause chaos. This is 2 people who once trusted each other completely, now standing on opposite sides of a line neither of them drew on purpose. Tommy didn't leave to hurt her. He left because he had no other choice left after she pushed him out the door. But intentions rarely matter once betrayal takes root in someone's chest, and Cami has had nothing but time to sit with that betrayal, alone, in an empty office, surrounded by a company she no longer trusts herself to run. So as we count down the months until Season 3 finally arrives, I want you to sit with this question, because I think it's the one that's going to define everything that happens next. When Cami Miller finally reaches her limit, and I believe she will she try to destroy Tommy Norris, or will she try to save herself by becoming exactly the kind of ruthless businesswoman everyone always doubted she could be? Because those are 2 very different women, and only one of them walks away from this war still standing.